Welcome to Annapolis Mosaics. Our program spotlights people in our community who are involved in activities designed to promote good human relations. I am Michael Keller, the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission and your host. The commission is a city board that seeks to promote equal opportunity and to eliminate discrimination. My guest today is Annapolis Police Chief Scott Baker.
Hi.
Chief, welcome to Annapolis Mosaics.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you have identified three areas and priorities in which the Annapolis Police Department is going to be focusing: violent crime, opioid abuse, and community outreach. So let's talk about each one of these. We'll start with violent crime. Your department keeps statistics on the number of crimes that are committed in different categories. What do the numbers show with respect to violent offenses in the city? And how do these figures compare with those in previous years?
So we do report uniform crime reporting. We report our incidents of violent crime and property crime to the FBI. Right now, we are well below, let me knock on wood, we are well below our violent crime numbers as compared to last year. We are running a little bit higher in robberies. No, I'm sorry, we're running a little bit higher in aggravated assaults. Most of those are domestic related. And our homicides, again, knock on wood, our robberies and other violent crime are down.
Okay.
Right now, our overall crime is even, when you compare all UCR numbers, we're running even with last year.
Mm-hmm. What types of violent crime do you find most troubling in terms of frequency?
Obviously, the number one answer is going to be homicides. One homicide is one too many. Right. We're doing everything we can to prevent them and doing very thorough investigations when, unfortunately, we have one. The other is the aggravated assaults because, like I said, most of them are domestic. So we're looking into how we can better serve the victims of these aggravated assaults and domestic violence incidents.
Yeah. Are there specific areas of the city which are more prone to violent offenses than in others in terms of the work of the police department?
There are, but it takes a wide role. It can go anywhere from Main Street all the way out to Forest Drive. There's not one centrally concentrated area. It's pretty spread out.
Okay. Does Annapolis have a gang-related problem? This is frequently comes up. People talk about it. Does it exist?
There are gangs in Annapolis. I won't deny that. About a year, 2 years ago, we ran a gang investigation on Brown Pride, which is typically a Mexican-based organization. We did a thorough investigation. Many were deported, many were arrested, many were charged federally. We do have a large El Salvadorian population in Annapolis. Right. And so with that population comes some MS-13. Right. And so we're looking into it. We're partnering with other law enforcement agencies, and we're going to take a run at them.
Mm-hmm. What initiatives is the department undertaking as it relates to violent crime, and what really can the police do? I mean, what are the limitations that the police face with respect to this? So we're talking both in terms of the initiatives that the police are taking, things that the police are doing now, things that you're thinking about perhaps undertaking, and then maybe talk a little bit about what your limitations are. I mean, a lot of people think, the police can be on every corner when a crime is going to be committed. Right. Well, we know for sure that that's in a fantasy world.
Well, that's the biggest limitation, is that we can't be everywhere all the time, and we can't measure how many crimes have been prevented. Right. So we are looking at various aspects. Back in February, when the mayor appointed me as interim chief, I came up with a number of initiatives that we're currently doing. One is we have an all hands on deck.
Okay.
So their admin has a responsibility, community services has a responsibility. But when our flex unit isn't there, and those are my discretionary units, we put the admin units out on the street to cover for the flex unit not being there. We're also doing, if you're arrested with a handgun and you get released on your own recognizance, we're going back to the person's house and knocking on the door and saying, we know who you are, we know that you carry a gun, and we've got our eyes out on you.
What can individual citizens do to assist the police in terms of reducing violent crime in the community? And what can they do in terms of reducing the chances that they're going to become a victim?
Well, when it comes to assisting police, it goes back to that, I would almost say, older saying, see something, say something. And now what we're dealing with is, if you hear something, say something. You have to give us a call. If you're hearing gunshots or what you think are gunshots, you have to give us a call. We can't, like I said, we can't be everywhere all the time. And let me just turn this into a community policing aspect is, police can't do the job alone. Community policing is a partnership. We get a lot of things accomplished when we work together as a group.
Okay. Okay. Let's turn now to the issue of the opioid abuse crisis. The commission that was chaired by Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey had actually recommended that there be a national emergency declared by the president on the abuse of prescription drugs in the country. It appears that no part of the nation, including Annapolis, is immune to this problem.
Correct.
How much police time and resources in the city are consumed by opiate abuse issues? How much of your...
Are you talking overdoses? Are you talking drug dealing? Are you talking the combination of the two?
Combination of it.
It's
the whole picture. Drug abuse.
Drug abuse. It's significant because if you're looking at the drug dealers, you're looking at the drug violence associated with that. You're looking at buyers coming in from outside of the city making buys, and then you're looking at the overdoses, the overdose deaths that we're always investigating. If it's a death, then we're doing a more thorough investigation. It's time consuming.
This is obviously not a problem that law enforcement can tackle alone. I mean, the Christie Commission did conclude this is primarily a health-related issue. It obviously, though, the law enforcement has a role in itself, and the president made that point, and I think the Christie Commission did as well. But what really is the role of the police with regards to the efforts of public officials to deal with what has become a full-scale epidemic?
It is a full-scale epidemic, and as you know, Governor Hogan has declared a state of emergency. Executive Steve Shue has done the same, and the mayor has brought the city into this opioid fight as well. We are part of an opioid intervention team, which brings senior leadership to a table, and we discuss certain policy issues and how to respond. And then there's an actual working group that we send the policy to, and they decide how they're going to implement and really work these things. People come to these meetings are from across the board. It's not just law enforcement. It's not just first responders. It's the schools. It's the health department. It's everybody that you could possibly think of is involved in this fight.
There has been a parallel rise in the use of heroin that seems to track the rise in the abuse of prescription drugs, to what extent is this a true relationship? Is there a connection between people becoming addicted to heroin who were previously essentially addicted to opioid prescription drugs?
I'm no doctor, but I can tell you, being part of the opioid intervention team and doing the research, that there is a great connection. People hurt their back at work or hurt their back in some way, and they're taking Oxy or a Percocet or something along that line, and they feel better. They don't feel any pain, and so that prescription runs out, or they can't get it renewed. So where do they turn? Do they turn to the street and they're trying to buy the Oxy or Percocet on the street? Well, that's very expensive. So the less expensive means to deal with that pain, to not have any pain, is heroin.
Mm-hmm. And heroin at one time was extremely expensive, but now it's because of the availability and the supply, much of it coming from other parts of the world. It's become very inexpensive, or at least comparatively inexpensive on the street. To what extent is the sale and distribution of heroin in Annapolis a problem?
It is a problem, as I said before, because it's not just the distribution; it's the overdoses. Yeah. So first responders and including the fire department are there instead of being in other places. And then we're putting more and more resources into our drug enforcement unit to deal with the dealers. Yeah. And we're working in partnership with Maryland State Police and the county. So everybody's trying to fight this thing.
Yeah. How optimistic are you that anything's going to change with this, or that things aren't going to get worse?
I'm optimistic in the fact that Anne Arundel County and the city of Annapolis is way ahead of a lot of other jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. And so that gives me great hope that at some point there will be a turnaround between treatment and other available resources to get past this, that we'll get there. It may take a long time, but I think we'll get there.
Okay. We're going to take a break now, but when we return, I'll be talking with the chief about community outreach and initiatives that are being taken and are being planned in this area.
More time! March! On the guard! Halt! Let face! Present! On! Order! On!
I'm talking today with Annapolis Police Chief Scott Baker, and we're going to be turning at this point in the show to a discussion about community outreach. In the fall of 2015, the Annapolis Police Department partnered with the U.S. Department of Justice to hold a community engagement forum, or a spirit program as it was called, about the relations between the police and the community, especially with respect to racial and ethnic minorities. And many of the suggestions that emerged from this program dealt with the perceived lack of understanding of law enforcement and its role by members of the community, and the need for more presence by the police in the community. So, Chief, I'd like to start by asking how you would assess the current relationship between the Annapolis police and racial ethnic minorities in the city, notably African Americans and Latinos?
I think that for me, it's getting better. I can't speak for African Americans and Latinos on how they feel the relationship is. I feel it's getting better. We have Joe Hudson, who is an amazing Hispanic liaison officer, is doing a great job and is running camps. And in these camps are 30 Hispanic kids every week. And right now we're on week 3, so running camps and getting people involved. And the more we work to bring people in to be a part of the police department, during the summer we run summer camps. We're starting early, 7, 8, 10 years old up to 14, and trying to get people in. So we're working at the youngest to the oldest to become a part of the police department and see what's actually going on with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the department has a policy of community policing. It's had it for a number of years. And I know this is very important to you. What initiatives do you plan to take in the area of expanding or continuing the community policing that the Annapolis department is engaged in?
So when I talk to people in the public, or I talk to just basically anybody that's asking me questions about the Annapolis Police Department, I say to them, do you get our daily report? Mm-hmm. Are you on our Facebook page? Do you know that we run over 30 community outreach programs? And generally the answer is no, no, no. Mm-hmm. So we have to do a better job of promoting ourselves mm-hmm. and promoting what we do to the public at large. Mm-hmm. When I was appointed to this position, I came up with a number of initiatives. Okay. We're doing additional foot patrols. I call it park, walk, and talk.
Okay.
At this point, I'm asking officers for at least 45 minutes of their shift to get out of their car, engage the public, and just interact in a positive manner. Mm-hmm. Let kids see how you are. Let them know that you're a real individual with real emotions, feelings, etc., and get to know us. Mm-hmm. We're also doing more social media outreach with Nextdoor. We've been running Coffee with a Cop for 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And so what we did is we went to a captive audience on a Sunday at a church. Right. So that had really positive effects, because when you do it at a coffee shop, you're relying on people coming in and out, and they're kind of in a hurry. When we announced that we were doing it at a church, people stayed for an hour and were engaged with what the Annapolis Police Department was doing. So that's another way to reach out.
Thank you for viewing our program today, and please join us again on Annapolis Mosaics. If you would like more information about the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, jot down the information on your screen. You can reach us at 410-263-7998 or by email at hrcommission@annapolis.gov, or check out our page at the City of Annapolis website. Go to www.annapolis.gov, click on City Government, then Boards and Commissions, and scroll down to the Human Relations Commission page. And always remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We have flown the air like birds and swum the seas like fishes, but have yet to learn the simple act of walking the earth as brothers and sisters."